Have you experienced the awesome power of the Panasonic Real 3DO system? Obviously.
Presenting 3DO, the most advanced home gaming system in the universe. It's time to put away your toys.
3DO from Panasonic, Gold Star, and Creative Labs. A new low price and free games.
Mind-blowing graphics of Panasonic Real 3DO. 3DO.
Wikipedia calling it an action game is very pushing it.
I'm gonna leave that in. I'm gonna leave that in the start.
Good.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 3DO Experience, the 3DO retrospective podcast where we talk about all things 3DO, 3DO Company, and the console, everything in between. I am Bill. This is Threk. How you doing, Threk?
Oh, I'm doing okay. Doing all right. Been busy playing a lot of games. These Game Pass drops are going to be the end of me because the last one we had, 2 games came into it that I really wanted to play. Well, 3 games, I think. Warhammer Bolt Gun, which I've been playing a bit of. Still in the first chapter, but it's really good. No More Heroes 3 is on the docket finally. I bought that when it came out on Switch back in the day, and I was like, this doesn't run well, and I was not getting good vibes because once we hit like the open world section, I'm like, not this again. So I kind of bailed, which is a shame because I really like No More Heroes 1 and 2. But it's on like the Xbox and PlayStation now, and I saw it was in Game Pass. I'm like, I need an excuse to play that finally. But right now, it's kind of a comfort game, but I saw it drop into Game Pass, and I was like, why not? I'll get all the achievements for it. And that is Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated.
That is a very good remake.
I've 100%ed the original and the remake together like at least 3 times. It's just a game I really enjoy playing. It's a comfort food game for me, so I was like, why not? Give me a reason to play it all again.
And I'm already without even trying.
Yeah, I have already over half the spatulas and like and over half of the socks. So I'm doing all right. I'll probably have to go back and because there's a few socks I missed because there's always a couple that are kind of, put in weird spots, but I'll get there.
The controls are actually the controls for that are actually a lot tighter. The only thing
I prefer the original. I like how floatier the original feels in control, especially when as SpongeBob you would do the double jump and then you would swing I think it's the bubble wand to get a little extra distance in your jump. Whereas in the Rehydrate one, you don't get that nearly as much, mechanically, I don't like Rehydrated as much as the original, but it is still solid. And even if I prefer the original, probably just for nostalgia reasons, and it's just how I know the game, Rehydrated is not a bad way to play it at all. And I remember when I played it, I was like, man, I really hope this Purple Lamp gets another shot at this with maybe something a little bit more original. And they did with Cosmic Shake, which I really enjoyed. I thought it was a lot of fun. Not a perfect game, but it fixed a lot of the issues that Bikini Bottom Rehydrated had. And I came out of it really, really enjoying it. And now they're doing that Epic Mickey rebrushed remake, remaster thing. That's them. So I'm like, is Purple Lamp becoming like one of my favorite studios right now? Because they're just, bringing back games that were all like, holy shit, they're bringing that back. And the one original game they did, I quite enjoyed. So who knows? Maybe they'll do Epic Mickey 3. Can't be any worse than Epic Mickey 2.
Yeah. I still can't get over the fact that Warren Spector fucking worked on those games.
Yeah, that is crazy. And who knows with the Battle for Bikini Bottom remake happened, and with this Epic Mickey one happening, and with Disney being a little bit more open about remakes from older stuff, maybe we'll get the Hit and Run remake. Because that's like the one
Disney owns them now. I forgot about that.
Because Fox, yeah. But I know Simpsons Hit and Run is in a weird spot with like the rights because it was published originally by Vivendi Universal, which Vivendi became Activision. I believe Radical Entertainment made that game. So its rights are probably in a weird spot, and if they were to remake it or remaster it or whatever, it would probably have to take a lot of figuring it out. Which
It's kind of a similar situation to like GoldenEye.
yeah, but with GoldenEye, that was a certified classic that people loved and definitely wanted to come back. Whereas Simpsons Hit and Run is more of like a cult classic kind of game, and I don't know if it would be worth bringing back. And also with GoldenEye, it had Microsoft and Nintendo involved, like two big companies who I think were willing to work out the details. I don't know if Disney wants to work out the details for this. I don't suspect it.
Probably
so.
Not.
Yeah, that's probably why it'll never happen, which is a shame, especially if Activision's involved, Microsoft's involved. God damn.
Also, another thing with Disney products that have been remastered lately, they're not looking so great. Did you see the Star Wars Battlefront collection? Apparently, is hot
that
garbage?
wasn't Disney. That's Aspire. Like Aspire is kind of known for that, for their like doing the most simple port job of all time, wondering why it's such a big file size, and then having issues. I mean, I think this one is more prominent because of the multiplayer aspect.
True.
Like say like if you get Episode 1 Racer, right? You're like, it's just the original game. They barely did anything to it, but it's fine and it's playable because it's a single player game. And you don't really think about it. But like Battlefront 1 and 2 being like 60 gigs. Why the fuck is that 60 gigs? They didn't add that much to it. And with the multiplayer server thing being really rough, that's a shame. I'll probably get it when it's like at least half the price and they've actually put proper servers into it.
Yeah.
So I won't be too worried about it because I imagine there will be a small group of people who are dedicated to playing this.
I think the funniest part of that whole thing was Battlefront 2 was already on the Switch, not Switch, the Steam marketplace, like the old version, and you can still get it for like half the price.
Yeah, Battlefronts 1 and 2, the originals, are on Steam, and I believe the servers were turned back on for those a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
because I played those then online, and it was awesome. And both of those are also backwards compatible on Xbox. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if those had servers or not. Couldn't say.
So the PS2 copy has that like PlayStation like Play Online logo in the corner, so it probably did at one point.
Yeah, well, I didn't know if the servers were turned on for these, like if you wanted to play on your Series X.
There's
like
no
the original
official
backwards compatible ones.
Well, I'm not sure on the Xbox side. I know the PlayStation 2 games, there's no official servers. There might be some private servers out there for all we know.
Well, for the original Xbox versions, I think those had the Xbox Live thing on them, so I'm pretty sure they had online. But I was more talking about if you wanted to play Battlefront 1 and 2 online on your Series X, the original versions, before this collection. I'm not sure if it had servers or not. No idea. So it's a shame to see it go this way. And it's causing some people to start defending the EA Battlefront games. And I'm like, calm down, buddy. I remember the releases of those. I remember people fucking trashing them, and I've played them, and they're not terrible games, but it's not what I wanted. And then it was more like all the loot box stuff that really kind of
that was
pissed
really
everybody
the big
off.
problem.
Yeah, so I'd rather just play Star Wars Squadrons or Jedi Survivor when that eventually hits Game Pass, which I think it's probably going to be soon. I think it'd be in April sometime. So I think EA Play, like for Game Pass, I think those games go in like a year later, I think, or roughly. So and I played Fallen Order earlier this year and really loved it. So really excited for Survivor. So hopefully, when that drops in, I will be playing that properly.
I'll probably just stick to Rogue Squadron 2.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I want to try that Star Wars Squadrons game that they did, the flying game, because I've heard it's an interesting game.
My favorite part about Rogue Squadron 2 was one of the bonus ships you could use was literally a Buick.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Just a Buick out of nowhere.
But also, funnily enough, with the Rogue Squadron, it is part of a weird connection with the game that we're playing today, which is the poll I mentioned, because there is something very specific about this game that I recognized. But we'll get to it in time.
Yeah. Other than that, though, nothing really big. I haven't really been doing a lot of gaming. I've just been so fucking tired lately. Like this weekend, I finally did my damn taxes, so those are done.
Yeah,
Um,
I got my return not that long ago. I need to double check on my local taxes. I think I did them, but I need to double check just to be on the safe side because my work stopped pulling my local tax. So when it's time for that, I have to fucking pay, which is bullshit.
yeah. So I moved states, so I kind of got screwed because I had taxes from both states. So not the best year for tax returns, but for the most part, not the worst. I was expecting like bad. So
Yeah. The worst is when it's like, oh, I don't get a refund. I have to pay. Like this sucks.
yeah.
But
Yep. Other than that, though, nothing too crazy.
did you finish your Persona 4 replay?
No, I'm like in the middle of it.
Okay. Yeah, I stopped playing it somewhere in the middle as well. Just again, there's just so many games. And
That's how I play Persona 4 every year. Like I'll jump in, do a little bit, jump off, do something else, come back to it later.
yeah, fair enough. And I have a little I guess I'm working on a little thing for Aaron over at the Super Pod. So I have to do like a handful of games for him. So I'm also working on those on the side. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And then there's
Yeah.
also my streams, which I forgot to mention last week. I guess
Yeah, I
I'll
was
mention
gonna.
I guess I'll mention it now, which is if you want to watch me play Sega Genesis games every Wednesday night, you can tune into twitch.tv/Thrack94 and watch me play some Sega Genesis games. Maybe you can even request some if you want. I have a pinned tweet on my Twitter if you want to look at it. So it's a fun time.
Yeah, I'll throw the link to not YouTube. I'll throw the link to your Twitch in the
Mhm.
description for this episode and all of
Yeah.
them going forward. So,
Yeah, and the streams get archived on YouTube right after. So
yeah, you can find Thrax's YouTube channel in the featured channels on the GNC YouTube channel. So,
yeah, so if you want to hear me without Bill, there you go.
I mean, I'll pop in the chat every now and then.
That you do. That you do.
But yeah, so going into it now, we this wasn't the original game we planned to do next, but we decided as a little filler because this game's pretty simple. We were gonna do this one in between our next game, and for this episode, we're going to be talking about Jurassic Park Interactive.
Look at it. Look at it. Is it me or does this hole look like an eye? Is it just me? Because I've always viewed it as like an eye, and then like he's smiling. You know, he's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
buddy, how you doing? You know,
See,
you like dinosaurs, kid?"
I can't look at the Jurassic Park logo anymore without thinking of Weird Al Yankovic's like Alpalooza album. So,
where he just put his head on there.
yeah,
Yeah,
and he's waving.
and he's parodying MacArthur Park of all songs, a song that probably nobody thought about like after it came out until Weird Al did the parody of it, you know.
Yeah,
Some people call MacArthur Park like a horrible song. I think it's fine. I've listened to the original. It's okay. I mean, the whole Cake in the Rain, like what's up with that? But 60s, who cares?
I enjoyed Living in the Fridge. That was my favorite song from that album.
I enjoy what's the Peter Gabriel parody on there?
I'd have to look at the list.
God. Yeah, I like Alapalooza. I mean, we could start a whole Weird Al podcast, but like Alapalooza is one of his more forgettable records, I think. You know,
Well, it was right after Off the Deep End, right before Bad Hair Day.
Yeah,
So
it was right in the middle. Yeah, for being an album in 1993, like kind of like that peak grunge era, he doesn't really do a lot of grunge on here, you know?
Well, he made it super big with It Smells Like Nirvana, and then he kind of just moved on from there.
Yeah, and he did Jurassic Park, which I mean, I think he thought, oh, like it'd be cool to do some on this like big movie, you know? And then there's like he doing like AC/DC.
Is
like,
this the album that had Bedrock Anthem, which I think is like one of his worst ones?
Yeah, the Weird Chili Peppers parody, which I think even Al says is one of his weaker ones. And I think
I know because
Flea said he didn't care for it either. He's like, he could have done better.
Yeah, because it's really not amazing.
It's not. And then there's like him parodying like Achy Breaky Heart, you think would work, but it falls kind of flat. I do think Frank's 2000-inch TV is pretty good. That's kind of a neat track. And then the one I'm thinking of is Waffle King, which is him trying to do like Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel, which I think is kind of cute. Harvey the Wonder Hamster, She Never Told Me She Was a Mime, that's a great title. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's still one of his like lesser albums in my opinion.
Yeah,
So
it's like an average album stuck in between two really good albums.
yeah, like well, Off the Deep End, I don't think it holds up that well. I don't know. I love the UHF soundtrack. That's like
True.
probably my most played Weird Al album these days. Like Big Small Twine in Minnesota. Hell yeah, man. Love that fucking song. His like Rolling Stones polka medley is great. Let Me Be Your Hog. Generic Blues. I love She Drives Like Crazy. That's
Yeah.
a good one.
Yeah, I think it also doesn't help too that after Alpalooza, he went on this like run of like just a couple really good albums after that.
Oh yeah, Bad Hair Day is fantastic. I love whenever I call in sick, I always think of his song Calling In Sick. Always
Yeah.
do. Love
And then,
that tune. Everything You Know Is Wrong, which is phenomenal. I love They Might Be Giants. His the alternative polka is great.
Yep.
And actually the alternative polka originally had Buddy Holly from Weezer in it, but the last second Weezer like record label pulled it, so he had to quickly do an edit to take it out. But he has uploaded like a rough little bit of that, to be like, oh, here's where it would have been, and then somebody took that and stitched it
Spliced
back in. So you can now hear it with Buddy. And that's the thing. Whenever I listen to it, I think of the Buddy Holly verse now because it perfectly fits. Gump is great. Since You've Been Gone. Oh my God. Love Since You've Been Gone. And of course, The Night Santa Went Crazy. Fantastic.
Yep.
Phony Calls is good. That's a surprisingly good one. And then Running with Scissors, dude.
That's like his best album, I think.
I was about to say that might be because like it's weird that like a lot of the parodies on here did not age well.
No, they're so dated.
But they're good tunes, like The Saga Begins, the Star Wars one is weird, but
well, especially because he wrote that before the movie came out, and I guess George Lucas listened to it and he thought it was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, and people thought he was like spoiling the movie. So people got mad.
But he just completely guessed right. That's like the best part of it.
Yeah, exactly. And then I love Pretty Fly for a Rabbi. Love that.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Jerry
good.
Springer is so badly dated, but my God, is it catchy?
It's funny. He throws the Weird Al show theme on here, which I like. Germs is okay. I think Germs could have been better.
His polka melody was good.
Oh, I love the polka. I don't think he has a bad polka medley. I don't think there's a bad one at all. Your Horoscope for Today, dude, that's the best ska song ever made. Like bar none. There's not a better ska song than Your Horoscope for Today,
And then you can't forget Albuquerque.
Oh, Albuquerque's like it's all about the Pentiums. That's a great one. Truck Driving Song is pretty funny. But yeah, Albuquerque is fire. And that's probably his best song ever. And he said he wrote it just because he wanted to do something fucking stupid. He's like, everyone's gonna hate this. Like the joke is it goes on too long. But then everybody loved it. And he's like, people started requesting it. And I'm like, shit, I have to learn this song now. That's like how he put it. But
I love it too because the lyrics in the album, he starts writing them out, and then halfway through, he just says "fuck it" and just puts a link to a website where you can find the lyrics.
Yeah, that's great. And then I think it was live versions either at the time or around the time where he would get to the part where he loses his train of thought live, and he would say, "Hey, let's just start the song over," and they would just restart the song, get to that point again, and he'd be like, "I lost my train of thought again," and would finish the tune. So it would end up being like a 20+ minute. Like prog epic or something. It's amazing.
I just love the one last thing before we finally get to our actual topic and we end the Weird Al experience.
Hey, Weird Al is the man. He's the legend. He is the GOAT. If there is one GOAT in this entire universe, it's Weird Al Yankovic.
I just think the greatest thing is the fact that he's had the same band like backing him his entire career.
They're all incredibly talented. They can do so much weird stuff, and it's all great. And I imagine working for Weird Al is amazing.
I mean, like his drummer.
Well, when he was working, he doesn't really do anything anymore. But he's earned his retirement. Yeah. If he is quote unquote retired, I think he's earned it.
Yeah, like his final album, Mandatory Fun, which I'm assuming is his final album. The fact that it
I think it is.
The fact that it was a number one, I think, is like perfectly poetic. Like
Well, and
that.
it was the last album in his contract that he signed all the way back in the 80s. It was the end of the run.
Yep.
So I think he was like he felt that he didn't really need to sign another another recording contract, and he saw by like 2014, he's like, the old album format I was doing, by the time these come out, it's like these parodies are probably going to be kind of dated. And he always
Yeah.
threw out the idea of doing like more timely like singles for stuff. And it'd be interesting to hear him try to parody stuff going on now, but I feel like the industry is like in a weird spot where it like, I don't want to say it doesn't need a Weird Al, but I think the industry is in a much different place now than it was. And maybe Weird Al sees his spot as like, he's like, I don't have to force myself into this. Instead, I'm just going to kind of enjoy the success I've had and just kind of like tour every once in a while and just sort of enjoy in the success. And he did that weird like biopic. They finally got it made. The fake trailer became a real movie, and the movie is amazing. It's so good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think it's still free on the Roku channel. So if y'all haven't watched it, you need to. It's good. It's no UHF. UHF is a masterpiece, but this is pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, so I
There's
just
not
want
a
to
weird. Hey, Weird Al is one of those things where I'm always prepared to go on a tangent about him.
he's
Like,
such an interesting man. He really is.
And he's great. Like, like probably the song of his I listen to all the time is like eBay. I listen to eBay
Yeah.
probably like once a month. I'm just like, I gotta listen to that song, and it's so fucking good.
Yeah. But Jurassic Park Interactives.
Well, you're the one who brought it up.
I know. That's why I'm trying to
It's
get back
frightening
on
in the
top of
dark.
it.
All the dinosaurs are running wild. Someone shut the fence off in the rain. I admit it's kind of eerie, but it proves my chaos theory, and I don't think I'll be coming back again. Oh no.
I love
I
the
know
fact
I know my Weird Al.
I love the fact that your box is like all nice and pristine, and then mine is like covered in labels and has this big like scratch across it.
Well, when I bought it, it actually also came in this like real nice
so
plastic
yours
thing.
was-
So whoever had it before me took really good care of it. I don't know why, but they did. Because when I bought my 3DO, this is one of the first games I bought for it. And it was a good price. It was in the box. So I was like, oh, why not? And I knew about this game. I guess, like, did you know anything about this game before you played it?
I knew about the AVGN episode, and that's why I was kind of scared to play this at first, because I was like,
Yep.
oh, this is going to be terrible.
It was the same for me. That I think it was in that Spielberg Games episode he did, where he
It
went
was
through
either
a
that or
bunch of
his-
stuff.
I think he might have done a Jurassic Park themed episode.
It was one of the two. Like, it was either in the Spielberg video, which I think is one of his better videos, or in like a separate Jurassic Park thing, because he talks about like the NES Jurassic Park, which isn't a good game. And I think I had the Game Boy version of that back in the day because it's very familiar to me. I grew up on the Rampage edition on Sega Genesis, that game, which is fantastic, and I'll be playing it on the show one of these days. And then there's that other Jurassic Park. There's a lot of Jurassic Park games.
There are.
So it makes sense we would get one for this console. But I guess the idea that they had for this was not the same as the other Jurassic Park games that are around at the time, because the other ones were more just like, oh, you're Alan Grant, shoot the dinosaurs and get out alive. Like, fair enough. Like, that's easy to make a game out of, And what I liked about the Genesis ones, you could also play as a raptor and do like raptor shit, which is neat.
It's much better than the Super Nintendo like Smokey Bear running around the backyard game.
And then like those weird like first person segments.
Yeah.
They're just like the worst like Wolfenstein clone of all time.
Yeah. You know when it's worse than like Super Noah's Ark 3D that you've
I
really
like that
screwed up.
game.
I know.
I think like goddamn, I think you can buy that game on Steam.
Yeah, I bet you can. And it's probably
no, because I bought it. I have it. Like, it's right here in my Steam account. It requires 20 megabytes of space.
Oh boy.
Yeah. In fact, I'm just gonna download it again real quick.
But so fun thing too about this case, it is one of the 2 games I own that has one of these weird cardboard kind of open up cases.
This is nice though. It's very nice. It has like
So
that kind of like digipack feel,
yeah, it
you know,
does.
which is weird. Yours is your manual on the top?
No, I don't. I did not get a manual.
Okay. Okay, yeah. My disc is obviously in the thing behind me, but I have mine came with the nice CD booklet manual. You know,
Nice.
these things suck, man. They're just so cumbersome to deal with.
I know. But
Especially when like they're not all the same height.
no, they're not.
So like the shelf space I have for it, like some of them just barely fit. Some of them I have to kind of squeeze in there. I'm like, man, but I'm not adjusting this fucking shelf.
So one thing I did notice too, and I think because the only other game I own that has a case like this is Way of the Warrior. Um, I believe this was custom for Universal Interactive Studios.
I think you're right. Hold on a second. Just pulled it out. It was right here. Yep. Universal Interactive right there.
So I was doing a little research. I did not know this until we're just like a little while ago, but this was actually the first game published by Universal.
I believe that.
But interestingly enough, Universal did not make this. This was made by 3DO themselves.
Yeah, Studio 3DO.
And I believe
It makes sense, you know, because
yeah,
fuck, who made all those other Jurassic Park games? I have no idea. I guess I'd never thought.
Sega made the Genesis ones, I believe.
Well, that explains why they're good. Because wait, Ocean did the NES one. That's right.
Hmm.
How the fuck did I remember that?
Yeah, yeah, this was actually also supposed to be the launch game for the 3DO.
I could see that because the 3DO came out in '94, right?
Mhm.
And Jurassic Park came out in '93. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Let's see, June of '93. That makes sense because I've heard people say the first Jurassic Park was sort of like the last of like the big blockbusters, you know, in that like sort of era, like from like Jaws to Jurassic Park, that sort of era of blockbusters. You know what I mean? The Spielberg era of Hollywood.
So this game itself is really interesting to me because it's kind of one of those games that's kind of hard to explain what kind of game it is. It's like a full motion video game combined with like mini game collection.
It feels like they wanted to do something with the hardware, you know, like they had looked at what the NES and the Genesis and the Super Nintendo had to offer for Jurassic Park games, right? And they were sort of more kind of action-based games with some platforming or exploration. And they're like, well, we could do something like that, but it's already on the other side. We want to stand out. And they probably looked at the FMV technology and seeing other games, say, taking advantage of like the Sega CD or something, and went, we could do something like this, you know, but we have to try to put in some interactivity, hence the name Jurassic Park Interactive, which almost makes it feel like a weird CD-ROM program thing,
Yeah.
you know, where it's like you put like a CD into your computer and then they're like, oh, look at these like stills and behind the scenes clips and like download these wallpapers or, you know, that kind of stuff. And it just ends up being much like the park itself at the end of the first movie. It comes off as a mess.
Yeah. That being said, though, I actually found this game surprisingly entertaining.
Well, I guess it's where we're going to do it's mildly entertaining.
Like when I say entertaining, I mean when I went into this, I thought I was going to hate everything about this, and I actually kind of liked some of it.
There is one thing I don't like. There, like of the mini games, there is one specifically I do not like at all.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, we can go into detail about those in a minute, I guess. But yeah, it is. I will say this: it's better than the AVGN video presents itself.
Yeah, because I was expecting this to be like the worst thing I've ever played, and
yeah, it's like when he was doing the Batman games and he talked about Batman Forever, and it's like, yeah, that game is garbage, but I mean, I played that game so much, it's like to me, it's nothing. but there's a lot of things about that game. They're just kind of weird. It's like, why did
Yeah.
they do this? I had never thought about it, I guess, as a kid. So, but yeah. So where do you want to start with this guy?
So I guess the best way to explain it is kind of the basic what you do in the game. It's kind of interesting. The way they set it up is it's kind of like the movie where like there's a bunch of people trapped in the park,
Yeah.
and your goal is you kind of have this like FMV style like command center screen where you kind of have to pick a number of different mini games, well, different people trapped in the park. There's more depending on the difficulty you select. And you select them, and when you select them, it leads you to a different mini game that you have to complete.
And I believe the whole game's under a time limit as well.
Yes.
Does that change depending on the difficulty? I can't remember.
You get less time and more people the harder the difficulty.
Okay, because I played it. Well, it's weird. It says normal, intermediate, and advanced.
Yeah.
Which I thought intermediate and normal were the same. Whatever, right? So I did normal, and I think I had like 6 people. I think.
Yeah.
Like, and they're all like, oh, we have Laura Dern at home. We have Jeff Goldblum at home. We have Wayne Knight at home, or Richard Attenborough. Like, it's all like they found like the best copycat they could find within like a 50-mile radius of the studio. You know what I mean?
The best too is when you select one of them, it plays a little FMV scene of them like in peril in the forest.
Yeah, they're running around in like the woods behind the studio. I mean in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, and there's never a dinosaur on screen because those are all digitized, so they like couldn't do it for the FMVs.
Except for one.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to.
My favorite is like they're just like running through the woods with like their arms up, and it's just like what is happening?
Yeah, and the narrator goes displaying video. Which can I get to my poll real quick since I brought up the narrator? Like you that voice, right? That voice the narrator has. It's a very kind of distinctive voice.
Yes.
And I was like, I know that voice. Where the hell have I heard that voice before? And I was peeling through the back of my brain, and I was like, that's the guy in like the Rogue Squadron games. That's the narrator there who's like telling you how to play the game and everything. I'm like, that's the same guy. And I'm like, the hell is that guy's name? And I looked it up and I found him. His name is Denny Delk.
Oh, Denny Delk. Yeah. I've heard of him.
Yeah. I think he's probably most known for being Murray in Monkey Island.
Yes.
And he's also done stuff. Yeah. He did like the Rogue Squadron stuff. He did quite a bit of other Star Wars stuff. He was in he was in 007 Agent Under Fire. He's in Day of the Tentacle, Fate of Atlantis. Like he did a lot of Disney LucasArts stuff, which makes a lot of sense. And I guess maybe that LucasArts connection is how he got to be in this game, I guess. And even then he has some like film credits. He's in Howard the Duck. Of course he is. I guess he's just one of those.
George Lucas worked on that. So yeah,
I guess he's just one of those LucasArts lifer kind of guys, even though he's like more freelanced. And if you get a chance, his here I'll link you his website. It is a blast from the past. That's what I'll say about it. It's very like wow.
Oh man. I guess going into the mini games now, because they're kind of the main game here. Some of them are kind of fun, others are not.
It's a weird mix of ideas because you have 2 sets of mini games. You have the ones that are being essentially done by like, Laura Dern or whatever as they're escaping, trying to get to the helipad, I think. And then you have the other set that is you trying to gain higher security level access through Dennis Nedry's computer, which I can't. Yes. I guess I didn't get far enough into the game to know, did that even like help? Because I got to security level 5, and I would do the 5th mini game there, which is essentially asteroids, but like a bad version of asteroids. And it would say like, oh, get 20,000 points. And I would get like 30,000 plus and would die. And they'd say, oh, sorry, try again. I was like, was it? It's just because I'm at the max? I don't know.
See, those ones I was less of a fan of because some of them are just very bizarre.
They all were just like arcade games. There was like Space Invaders, Galaga, Asteroids, but it was all like bad versions of those games.
Yeah. The one that I remember is the one where you're shooting like floppy disks that say dump on them.
Yeah, that's the Asteroids one.
Yeah. It's just like
the one I remember is when you're in the car and you're trying to shoot all the Triceratops, you know, and to quote AVGN, if you tap the D-pad, your car just goes flying, and then whenever you run into a Triceratops, they just go "Urgh!" And it's like,
yeah,
what the hell? Why they have a human grunt? They're a dinosaur.
Yeah,
it's weird. Yeah, those were all like super weird, but they were super simple. You know, you could knock them out relatively. I didn't have an issue getting to 20,000 points on any of them.
No, they were like very unoffensive, but at the same time, they were just kind of like poor man's arcade games, basically.
Yeah, it felt like it was trying to appease we have like the whole Dennis Nedry security system thing. It's like, a computer programmer would probably want to like put in some games to play, and so he would just make his own version of Galaga with like pterodactyls, I guess. Yeah, it's an idea. It's an idea, but I don't know if it's a good one.
See, those are the ones that AVGN really focused on during his review, because I remember like the whole time I'm like, wow, this game looks like shit. And then
there's the one that's Super Glove Ball. Where it's the egg and you're bouncing like the weird picture of the T-Rex and like the music. It's like, what the fuck is this?
See, out of the three there, the one that I like the most is the T-Rex, the Tyrannosaur, the ones that grunt. I just found that fun.
The Triceratops.
Yeah. That was funny.
Well, that's my favorite dinosaur. So, do you have a favorite dinosaur, Bill?
I wasn't really a dinosaur kid back in the day.
I was. I loved him.
I always liked the Tyrannosaurus Rex, but I think that was mostly because of Final Fantasy VIII. I don't know.
That's a very you answer, Bill.
I mean, you could fight T-Rexes in the garden. It was fun.
It was in this Weeb game, so I like this one.
Yeah.
I don't know why I made you sound like that. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But really the core mini games are the ones where you're trying to escape through the park. And there are, if I remember correctly, there's 3 of them.
Yes, there's the zapper one where you zap the spitters.
Yes.
And when you kill them, they make the greatest, they basically like, they go like, and they fly off screen. It's great.
Yeah, which is really funny. Because when I first played this forever ago, I didn't know what I was doing wrong. Because the game does not do a good job explaining anything to you about these mini games. It just says like, oh, you gotta just protect yourself from the spitters or whatever. And I'm like, but what are the controls? What am I doing? In the manual, like the manual actually gives you like decent instructions on how to do this stuff, but you know us, we're modern gamers. We don't need instruction manuals. The game tells us everything.
I mean, I know, like the manual's so handy.
It's like opening up a PS5 case. Anyway, but yeah, like the spitter shoot, like here it actually like tells you what to do, gives you all the controls and everything. And once I figured out you could charge the gun, it was a breeze, like no problem. I never died. Though I don't know if you can hide from the spit shots. I have no idea.
I tried. There was like really nothing you could do. I did like the effect though that every time you got hit, the screen got a little darker.
That was neat. That was a neat little effect. And what I did was I basically just held R, so I was just slowly drifting to the right, and then I would just kind of move and charge shoot when I could, kind of thing. So yeah, that one wasn't too bad. The other one is the T-Rex chase.
The T-Rex chase with the most stupid driving controls I think I've ever seen in a video game.
Yeah, those are so bad controls.
So you steer with R and L,
and you hold up to drive forward.
Yeah. I have many issues with that setup.
I thought you were about to say I have many thoughts and none of them are good.
Well, I mean that too. I was just like, because like it makes no sense. Like you'll be driving and you'll swear you turned around something and then you'll just hit it and the car will just
God, yeah, because like the road is wide, right? and then you'll see like a little car or a little pile of bones, and you're like, oh, let me get over. And you think you're over enough, boom. You're like, what the fuck? And then like the turns are so sharp, you feel like, but you can't really veer off road. Like
Yeah.
not at all. And the only thing you're trying to do is escape the T-Rex. It's that famous scene from the movie where they're driving in the T-Rex, and even on the side view mirror, they have the objects in mirror closer than they appear.
Yeah.
That little notice, which is nice, but unless you have no idea what you're doing in this part, you'll be just fine. I think I got caught by him once.
So I never did. I like somehow like he just never got closer. I think it's because Oh yeah, because there's an accelerator to it that like makes you move at fucking light speed.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's an acceleration button in your car. Basically, the screen doesn't change at all, but the mirror does, and you just see the T-Rex in the background just go woo like crazy like that.
Like I had one point where I was hitting stuff like crazy, and I thought he was gonna get me. And looking at the mirror, he was like really close, and then like a split second later, he went back.
Yeah.
Nothing changed. He just like kind of glitched back. And I was like, okay, did I like hit a point of no return or something? I have no idea.
So
but
I got
again,
caught,
it wasn't an issue.
I got caught once just because I wanted to see what the death animation looked like, because this game has some very interesting death animations, which if you were a child that had like a fear of dinosaurs as a kid, oh, this game would terrify you.
Yeah, like the one I'm thinking of, it's in the last mini game. That one is kind of freaky.
That whole mini game is kind of freaky, honestly.
Yes, yes.
We'll get to that.
I didn't know there was a crazy accelerate button. I had no idea. Like there's a button to move the mirror, which
yeah, that one was
helps.
I will say my favorite part of that mini game though is when you complete it, you just get a little cutscene of the Jeep flying off the screen, and it just goes like, yeah, like, and it's like,
and it was every character did the yeehaw. It's like it would have made sense if it was just like Goldblum or whatever, but no, it was everybody, like even Alan Grant.
Yeah.
Which the guy they got for Alan Grant looks nothing like Sam Neill. Like nothing like him. Not even close. Like at least for the other ones, they tried to do him up to look similar. If you were squinting and you had your head tilted to the side and looked at him like 500 feet away, maybe, but here not even.
Yeah. So the final mini game, this one legitimately is, I think, the best one in terms of design in what it does, but also like the one I dreaded doing because it is legitimately kind of creepy.
The Raptor maze. I fucking hated this maze so much.
So to me, it was the most effective one at actually being kind of like terrifying and like tense. But oh my god, I hated doing it.
Oh, it does its job, but I think it suffers from just like terrible control, not having any real decent way to defend yourself, and the game not giving you enough ways of being able to protect yourself to even make any progress. And it's just like, and it's just completely confusing. It's yeah, it feels like it's the most involved, like the one they spent the most time on. But like, I'd rather play Plumb the Depths.
yeah, honestly, freaking
the glorified menu.
Yeah, I mean, there's equally terrifying things in both, so
but for different reasons.
Yeah.
And the raptor that's basically the raptor maze is you are like in a building and you're trying to escape and you're trying to get all the keys to get out. Like there's like 5 of them or whatever, all while you have a raptor chasing you. I think it's just one. And the game says, oh, you can trap them. I have no idea how you would trap them.
Yeah, I tried.
I literally have no idea.
It out.
Yeah, like the game, like you don't get enough like draw distance from the raptor. You never have a good sense of geometry in this whole area, like where you are. Like the game doesn't give you a map of like any sort. So you just kind of have to memorize the patterns. And basically it's one big hall with like the doors on the side, and at the very end is the door to get out, right? And you have to run into each one to grab the key and then get out to go to the next one, right? So the first one is super easy. You just go into one, grab the key, and just get out immediately. But then the second one is its own maze in and of itself with all these like random doors and everything. And because of how it's set up, you don't really get any chance to learn these layouts. You can't learn where anything is really outside of the first one. Like as soon as you walk in, there's the key, you can go. But the raptor just like comes up to you like really fucking quick.
Yeah.
You know, like you'll hear the steps, but that's all you have. You know, there's no like real volume differentiation as far as I could tell.
Yeah, and it's a very realistic sprite. Well, for realistic based on what perception was at the time.
I don't think it's a sprite. I think it's they got a dude in a fucking velociraptor like rubber suit. That's what it looks like.
Digitized.
That's what it looks like to me. It literally looks like they got like a really nice rubber suit of a raptor. I don't think they used those in the movie. I could be wrong on Jurassic Parks. I know the special effects in Jurassic Park are like a mixture of like really good CG and animatronics. But I don't know if for the raptors if they ever used like people in rubber suits or anything like that, like Godzilla style. But that's what this looks like to me. Like I can almost picture the dude's head in the neck because there's a little screenshot of him right there. Like it almost like to me, like right here. Shit, I can't do this. Like right here, it almost looks like that's the dude's chin, like where the Adam's apple would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I think is funny because I thought the raptors in the movie were female, but whatever. In any case.
What's funny is all three of these mini games have a jump scare kind of thing whenever you get caught. The spitter one is the spitter one's kind of lame. The spitter just pops up on screen and sprays you again. And it's like,
yeah,
that's literally what they did during the whole mini game.
It's like it's trying to recreate that bit in the movie when the spitter like gets in the van with Dennis and everything. And that scene is still like terrifying. Like they did a really good job of making that scary. Yeah, here it just doesn't come anywhere close to that.
The T-Rex one isn't really scary just because of how much you have to try to get caught by the damn thing.
Yeah, that mini game is so easy that you're never gonna see it unless you're intentionally losing it or if you're just like that incompetent at it. I don't know.
Even then, like the jump scare itself is just kind of like, yeah, it's T-Rex.
Yeah, and then the raptor one, it's good. Like, but you see it all the time, and it literally looks like because when you see him on the map,
that's the jump scare, by the way, if anyone's wondering.
Basically, like it's that digitized sprite. Basically, when you're in the maze, it's just like doing the walk cycle, right? And then when it catches you, it's like in the middle of the walk cycle, it just goes bah, and then the camera just zooms in on it really quickly, and it's a complete black background and everything.
My favorite part though is because the 3DO wasn't the best at loading at times. When it catches you, there's a brief pause, and then it jumps you. it's like every time you're kind of like waiting for it, and then it gets you, and you're like, ugh. And then
the worst is whenever I would do the maze and I feel like I was starting to make some progress, it would like sneak up behind me, and I'd just be pissed. Like, fuck.
See, the behind ones are worse because the system still pauses, but like you're like, what is it stuttering? And then you get jump scared, and you're like, oh,
yeah. I would love to play the mazes if there was like a way through like a cheat device or like a hack or something to just get rid of the raptor and just let me kind of explore these mazes just so I could like get a feel for them. I would love to try that because I'm just curious to these layouts. And I'm sure there's videos online of people doing them, no problem, because of course there are. Like every game has like that one fucking weirdo who masters it. And I'm sure there's one for this. And if you're watching, hi, how are you? But I couldn't imagine having the patience to deal with the mazes. Because they are kind of like creepy, but with like any sort of creepy thing, if it keeps happening too much, you just get desensitized to it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, this is a game. I'm trying to figure out these mazes and I just can't get there. Unless there is some weird trick that we don't know how to do. That'd be amazing, but I have no idea.
Yeah, it was really one of those things where I was kind of like, this I feel like would be a really good idea if they fleshed it out more and actually like properly like I feel like there is like a lot of ideas in this game that were thrown. It was kind of like they had the dartboard and they just kind of threw at it and saw to see what would stick. And nothing is fleshed out, but there's so much potential hidden in here, which I think is the reason why it's kind of a annoying kind of game to play.
It's a game that feels like they were more focused on the ambitions of the console than making a cohesive product for people. And that they thought, oh, it'll have that logo on it, so people will go out of their way to check it out. And I'm sure there were. But at the
This
end of the day, it just like I'm sure there are competent developers behind it. Like, despite like some of the weirdness in the controls for certain things, none of it ever felt like bad or unusable.
Hmm.
You know, like it runs fairly decently. The graphical style is okay, I guess. Like
for a
it's
90s FMV game, it's not bad.
I've played far worse. I think you have as well. And yeah, there's definitely like something here, but maybe it was just they didn't really have the right tech or just the right sort of game knowledge, design knowledge to really make it work. You know what I mean? They're not Sega cranking out those really great Genesis Jurassic Park games. So
Yeah, this you can tell this was definitely one of the first in-house games 3DO made, which I have a weird suspicion like they didn't even want to publish this one because they weren't feeling it, so they farmed it out to Universal. Also, it
well,
might have been the Jurassic Park license too, but
that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it was like Universal owned Jurassic Park, so they wanted to, you know, be attached to this because I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure, yeah, they licensed the IP out to say Ocean and Sega to make those games,
hmm,
and then those I'm pretty sure sold really well at the time because you know Jurassic Park was a huge juggernaut. I think we're both too young to really know because I think we were born after the movies came out or the first movie came out.
yeah,
Um, but I remember watching Jurassic Park like quite a few years later when I was still kind of relatively on the younger side,
it
which
was
is
almost
crazy to
always on TV back then.
yeah, which is crazy to think because that is a violent movie. That
Yeah,
is like that's a movie that you're like if they released that today as like a PG, people would get pissed.
yeah, that was always funny to me because like when I first discovered like got my own. I'm gonna date myself here. I got my own VHS player back in the day.
Nice.
I was going through my parents had the VHS collection and they were like, all right, you can't watch any of these ones, but these are fine to watch. So I in there was Jurassic Park and I was like, ooh, can I watch this? And they were like, sure. And oh my god, it traumatized me as a kid.
Yeah, that's weird because also like I think it was famously the Gremlins when that came out in the 80s. Um like a lot of parents were pissed because they took their kids to see it. 'Cause I think it was rated like PG. Because I think that was before PG-13 was a rating. And like a lot of parents were pissed because the first Gremlins is pretty has some pretty gruesome shit in it, at least
Yeah.
for what it is. And I think the sequel Gremlins 2 makes fun of that. But
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Jurassic Park was PG-13.
I think it was because I remember like I they kind of split all the movies but from like PG and then like R and stuff. And they were like, you can
'Cause-
watch any of
well,
these.
yeah, because PG-13 was put in, I think sometime in the 80s is when the PG-13 label, because I think it was originally just G, PG, and R. That was it. And
And
then
X,
they
but
had
X was its own thing.
yeah, and then they had to add the PG-13 because there were these movies like because Jurassic Park I wouldn't say is an R, like it's not that bad, but it's definitely more in the PG. Like there's not a lot of like swearing or anything in that or anything like or no like sexual stuff, but it is a fairly gruesome movie. And I always love the part where like Laura Dern is trying to escape from that one dinosaur and then like that the arm plops on her shoulder, you know, and then she's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
it's that dude," and it's just his dismembered arm. Like you can almost see like the prop hand guy like in the shadow, just like plopping it on her shoulder. Like now's the time,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of stuff.
I just find it funny that that was only PG, but then like anime films like Akira were like explicitly like listed as R, but they were still put in the kids section anyways.
Yeah, people just didn't know back then. Let's see. Yeah, well, it was rated PG-13 at the time. That makes sense.
Okay.
Intense science fiction terror.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, that's about right. You know, I haven't watched Jurassic Park in a long time, but from my memory of the first one, it's still a great film. It holds up. I've yet to see like a YouTube video saying, "Oh, this is like overrated and not that great." I've yet to see one of those for this movie. You know, I think people are overall like, "Yeah, that's a good one. That's a fun time."
I've never seen hate for the original Jurassic Park. I've seen a lot of hate for the recent releases.
Well, I think even the Lost World people aren't too high on. I'm not too high on Lost World either. I think it's too long, and its pacing is just kind of rough. Like there are some high spots. Like I love the part where at the very end when the T-Rex goes to San Diego, like he like sneaks aboard the ship and everything, and the Japanese tourists are like running away saying, "I left Japan to get away from this." You know, that was always really funny.
Yeah.
Because it was like right before that horrible Godzilla movie around the
Oh
same
yeah,
time.
the 2014 one.
No, the one from '98.
Zilla, yeah.
Yeah. No, the Godzilla film in 2014 is really good. I mean, it's better than the '98 one,
Yeah.
but yeah, I remember like seeing Lost World was just like, it's kind of whatever, you know. Like that opening scene, I thought was interesting. Jurassic Park 3, I will always defend that movie. I really like Jurassic Park 3. I wouldn't say it's a great film, but it's like 90 minutes. You're in and out. It has like it brings back Sam Neill, which is cool. It has William H. Macy in it of all people. I think it was the first time I ever saw him in a film, and he was great. And I enjoy that one for what it is. You know, like the heavy use of like the Spinosaurus and all that other stuff. You know, but that's a fine one. And then yeah, Jurassic World. I saw that in theaters, I think, and it was all right. It was all right. It was what you expected when it came to bringing back Jurassic Park. You know, too
Yeah.
much Chris Pratt, not enough dinosaurs, but whatever. And then Fallen Kingdom was I believe if that's the one I'm thinking of, is that the one that's a complete dumpster fire? I think it is. Or is it?
Maybe
No, Dominion. Dominion's the complete dumpster fire.
Gotcha.
Because that's the one that brings everybody back. Everybody.
Hmm.
Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, all of them. And it's awful. Terrible.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of
Don't
those.
don't watch it unless you're curious.
So there's not much left to say about the game itself in terms of gameplay. I'm assuming you didn't finish this one.
Well, I got one of the characters to the helipad. I was able to get Laura Dern to the helipad, no problem, because I was trying my best to avoid the raptor maze. Because I just every time I got there, I was like, I'm gonna fail this, because you just get no time to really like. Every time I fucked up, it just felt like the game was just punishing me for not knowing like a perfect clean run of it. You know what I mean? Like everything else is so easy that this is like the one that's like ridiculously hard, and it feels like it's unfair, genuinely. So with Laura, I got lucky and kind of snuck through. And with everybody else, I was trying my best, but everybody else died in a raptor maze. So the game, I got a score. I think the game scores you at the end, right? For how many people you save or whatever. And I did not get a really high score because I only got one person saved.
So I just thought about this. We didn't explain this. The map screen where you pick your mini games, essentially.
Yes.
The way it kind of works is there's the helipad at the bottom, and you have to basically every time you complete a mini game, they kind of move closer to it. Essentially, you kind of have to keep doing mini games until you can get them all there, without them dying. So it's kind of like it's hard. It doesn't really. The game does not explain this very well, but it's kind of you just keep doing the mini games with the different characters until they get to the helipad, and that's kind of how you win.
Exactly. Because also the game wants you to like when you get somebody to the helipad, also like call for the helicopter or something. Like it makes a reference to that, and I'm like looking through the manual and everything, and I'm like, where the hell are you supposed to do that? I have no idea. Oh, the power to call back the cargo ship that's in the engineering button, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. The game is also like really obtuse because it has all these different like it's like a mini game collection, but it's like has like survival mechanics and like also kind of like strategy stuff where you have to sort of divide your attention in all these like different areas. And the manual says like as the time ticks down, the challenges get harder and harder. So they're like, don't spend all your time in the computer getting the security links up because when you get to the mini games, they might be too hard to do. I mean, that may explain why the Raptor maze is super hard. I don't know, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's like there was a lot of good ideas here, just nothing was really well executed.
Yes, exactly. It's not exactly one big pile of shit, to quote Jeff Goldblum. It's not exactly that, but it is a disappointment.
Yeah. It's like there's a gem here, but it's just covered in so much crap that you can't get to the actual gem inside.
Exactly. It felt like they were trying to cover as much ground as they could with like the movie references, but it's not enough. It's like it's too unfocused in what it wants
Like
to be.
there were entertaining moments. Like I still got a kick out of the freaking uh some of the computer like arcade mini games, and then the T-Rex chase. As much as I did not like the controls, I still got a laugh out of it every time it popped up, because just the
Yeah.
T-Rex in the mirror is just funny to me, like how he just can't seem to ever get you.
Yeah. And
um
it's a nice callback to an iconic scene in the original film.
hmm. Then the spitters getting flung off the screen with the electric thing, that was always kind of entertaining.
Oh yeah, that was good too.
It's sad that the most ambitious part of this game to me is arguably the worst part of it, just from an inherent design standpoint.
Yeah, exactly. It's a shame. It really
Y-
is.
This might be a stretch, but you know what the Raptor minigame kind of reminds me of?
What's that?
It is an incredibly bare bones, basic alien isolation.
I feel like that's really doing Alien Isolation a disservice, but I know what
Well,
you mean.
like I'm saying, like if you stripped everything from Alien Isolation that made it amazing, and you took the basic core idea of that game, that's kind of what the Raptor game is.
Yeah. Yeah. But thankfully that reminded me, because I was in my head, I was like, for years I've always said the Jurassic Park game we need is like a survival horror game where you are trapped on the island with all these fucking dinosaurs around you, you're trying to escape, but it's like, you're just kind of sneaking around doing like stealthy survival horror-y kind of stuff, you know, like a Dino Crisis that's not Dino Crisis. And then I was reminded, I think it was late last year. It might have even been at the Game Awards. They announced that game finally, Jurassic Park Survival. It's being done by Saber, and I know Saber's going through some changes at the moment, but I imagine this game is probably still going to be doing just fine. And yeah, they said it's set one day after the events of the first film. You assume the role of a young InGen scientist who was left behind on Isla Nublar, and it's in a first-person perspective, and you have to explore the island and avoiding its numerous dinosaurs who exhibit distinct and adaptive behavior. The player can outsmart the dinosaurs with stealth emphasized over combat, like a survival horror Jurassic Park game. And that's if Saber can pull that off, I think that game's going to be fucking amazing.
Honestly, like a concept like that should work. It's just
Yeah, like it's something that I think people have been clamoring for a long time. Like it makes so much sense to make like a stealthy survival horror Jurassic Park game. It makes so much sense, because outside of that, like I did praise the ones made by Sega on the Genesis. I think those ones are pretty solid.
there's a couple on
Um,
PlayStation that are okay.
I haven't played any of those. I have one for like Game Boy Advance, DNA Factor, I think, and or Island Attack, or one of those games from like Jurassic Park 3 that's not any good. There's like the Jurassic World Evolution, like the theme park builders for Jurassic Park, which is cool. Those are good. If you have like an itch you need to scratch for that kind of stuff, those games are perfect for that. But those, like, they have the Jurassic Park name on them, which is nice, but they don't feel like Jurassic Park games. You know what I mean? Or even Jurassic World, because you expect those to be more, kind of like horror based or something. Whereas those are like, oh, you're just taking care of the. It's like Frontier Development. It's just like making a roller coaster tycoon, but with dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah, which is a good idea.
They're doing what they do best and making simulators.
Exactly. I'd love to see them make like some crazy RPG or something. That'd be fun.
Hmm. So just some final housekeeping. This game does feature a lot of saving. No memory manager, so
Yeah.
um
It's weird. It has the saving because, as far as I know, it's like it gives you 24 minutes to do everything.
Yes.
So I imagine if you're trying to sit down and play this game, you might as well like deal with the 24 minutes or whatever it takes to get through it, you know? Because yeah, it's also fairly short. So I imagine if you know how to do this, if you know how to beat this game, it probably wouldn't take you that long.
I feel like this is a speedrunning game. So like someone speedruns this. Not sure who.
Oh, there has to be.
As for reception, it was very mixed. EGM gave it a 7.75 out of 10, so I guess they kind of liked it.
Sure.
Yeah, then they later gave it a 9 out of 10 in the 1995 Video Buyer's Guide. Okay, EGM, whatever.
Weird. Do they still exist?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Well, I'll be.
Oh
damned.
no, no. Oh wait, no, never mind. Their final issue was 2014.
No, okay, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And checking speed runs for Jurassic Park Interactive, there are 3
Of course,
speed runs. One was 2 years ago, one was 4 years ago, and the other was 2 months ago. I cannot pronounce this name. I apologize. Exterior Emma. I'm sorry. It just looked weird to me. Sorry. Exterior Emma. Currently, she has the record in Jurassic Park Interactive at 41 minutes and 35 seconds. And you know what? I may watch this because I need to see how you beat this fucking raptor shit. I need to know.
Yeah.
So if somehow Exterior Emma finds this, shout out to you. Shout out to you. And I think your avatar is, I believe that's a reference to a Marillion album. Yeah, I'm pulling Marillion out of my ass.
So
if anyone in our audience knows who Marillion is, I'll be very fascinated. Anarchinophobia from like 2001. Like the cover is like all these weird looking things or whatever. Here, I'll send the link to Bill so he knows what the hell I'm talking about. Because I don't know if you know who Marillion are.
I know Marillion, just not a huge listener. But
yeah, this is like deep in the Hogarth era. So this is like, well, like we're not doing fish here, you know.
Yeah. GamePro reviewed the game and asserted that the music was the only good aspect of it.
I didn't pay attention to the music.
Yeah.
So.
They also complained about the loading times, and I didn't really think they were that long. So
this could just be me, but like going back to like these 3DO games and even some like 360 stuff, I'm like, loading on these things wasn't that bad.
No, like when I
like
think
we just want, like I feel loading times on the Switch are worse. I don't know. It could just be me.
Like to me, like the worst loading times in a game I can think of are like Sonic 06 is still pretty bad. Not for the load times.
Those are bad.
It's not even just how that they're long. It's more that like they just appear everywhere. And
well, yeah, the game is not well optimized.
No,
so that's why you have all this crazy load times for just nothing.
Entertainment Weekly reviewed this and they gave it a D. Called it one giant slab of prehistoric cheese. good, I guess.
Cheese is an interesting choice.
Yeah. Wired called it the most. Wired wrote the most exciting flick of 1993 has been turned into a bunch of extremely dull arcade sequences linked together by silly full motion video clips of people running through jungle scenery.
Was that at the time?
Yeah, that was
okay
when this came out.
Okay. Fuck, Wired's been around that long. Yeah, from 1994. October 1st, 1994.
Edge magazine called the game a decidedly average mixture of Outrun, Optwolf, and Doom.
That's giving this game way too much credit, comparing it to all those games.
Ironically, it got more 7 out of 10s than anything, which I find amusing.
It must have been the standards were different back then.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst thing ever, but it's not great either. That's the thing.
Yeah, like it exists. That's all we know. Yeah.
Retrospective reviews have been much harsher, basically referring to it as just like a mess or poorly designed or
I
bland.
Oh, I found that Wired article where it's like the like silly full motion video clips. Like that's the first paragraph, and at the end of it, there's a paragraph saying, like, remember 10 years ago when it took only 3 or 4 programmers to turn a great movie into a terrible game?
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
this game had 10 people working on it.
Oh, it's a short thing. I may end up reading this because I'm kind of curious about it.
Other than that, though, there's not much else to say, so I guess we can transfer over to Must Play OK, Stay Away.
Where do you think this ranks in the pantheon of Jurassic Park games? I don't think either of us are experts in this field, so I don't know if we can say for certain.
So I know a lot would probably say it's near the bottom. I wouldn't play this over the Genesis games. I would play this over Smokey Bear Simulator, though.
Those are like that one is at the very least it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a big collectathon. Like, why am I collecting eggs? Like, there's a lot of weird stuff there. But at the end of the day, it is like a game, and you can kind of like figure. Though these days, play it on emulator with save states, and just you can figure it out. It's a giant maze, and I don't hate that per se, but I'd rather just play the Genesis games.
Yeah. I mean, and even those aren't the greatest games ever made, but I mean, at least they're fun.
Yeah, I really enjoy those games. I have very fond memories of Rampage Edition, and at the very end of the game, when you're on like the raft trying to escape the giant T-Rex head, you're trying to shoot it while you're escaping through the waterfalls and all that is such a cool visual, especially for that era. You know what I mean? Hell, I may play this game on stream tomorrow to prove it, but I don't know. And then whenever the T-Rex like eats you and like Grant's legs are just kind of flying out of his mouth or whatever, like that's such a good visual. Like there's a lot of cool design elements with those games,
Yeah. This is a tough one for me because I don't want to say stay away just because I feel like there is things in here that should be experienced.
I'm going to say stay away.
Okay.
I don't think this game is worth your time. It's really not. Sure, it has some interesting ideas in there, for sure. But am I going to recommend people play this? No. Don't bother.
That's why I don't really want to recommend it. But I also don't want to like say it's outright not a good game.
We've played worse on this show.
Yeah.
But putting it in the stay away, like putting it in that column, to me feels right. We can put it at the top of that column, like the best of the stay aways if you want. For me, it's the best of those. But I still like, am I ever going to play this again after this? No.
No, like I doubt I am either. Yeah, because it's not really okay either.
Like it's better as a game, quote unquote, than say a Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, but it's not nearly as memorable as that.
No. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna say stay away. At most, watch a video on it.
Maybe stay away with a question mark. Stay
away? I'm gonna kind of say that.
Give you a question mark, give me an exclamation point.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, don't bother.
I was gonna say, like, in the title for this episode, I was confused on what to think of it. Because I was like,
yeah,
is it a hidden gem with a question mark? And I was just like, yeah.
You're hopeful it is, Like you I think it's a game that you play and you're like, I want to like this. I want to try to like meet this game halfway and appreciate it, but I feel like the game doesn't do enough to really give you that sort of feedback, respecting your wantingness to appreciate it. You know what I mean?
See, I kind of came into it with like an opposite approach where I came into it thinking like I was going to hate this. And then I kind of came out thinking like, it wasn't as bad as I thought, but it's still not very good.
Yeah, like when I played it for the first time and I got my 3DO, it like any knowledge I had was the AVGN video. And then trying to play it, I was like, I'm not quite sure what's going on. And so I'm trying to figure it out. And as I'm figuring out, it's like, okay, I'm starting to get a hang of it, but like, is this any good? Not really. And then playing it again to catch up, to remind myself, at least for the show. Again, it's one of those like, what do I don't like, it's something here. I want to, because I like Jurassic Park. I want to like this, but it just doesn't. It doesn't
Yeah.
work for me. Like, this could have just been like a really well made like side scroller action platformer, and I think it would have been genuinely a good game.
Or they put like say all their effort into actually making the raptor thing like fun.
Yeah, like if they had focused on one particular element of this game, I think it would have been fine.
Like realistically, if they had taken that raptor minigame and fleshed it out and made it actually like a game and not just that, this could have been a really good horror game.
Yeah, that would have been really neat actually if if they took the Raptor Maze and made it a whole game. They could have had something with that. For sure.
Because it runs pretty good for the most part. I mean, the controls are shit, but let's face it, most games of this era, the controls kind of sucked.
Yeah. I didn't I never really complained about the controls when I was playing it, so if that
Nah,
counts for anything.
they're just like slippery and like confusing. So
A teeny bit, but eh, we've played worse.
yeah.
It's better than
Um,
PO'd.
yeah.
You know
Oh,
who
actually,
you are. You know who you are.
that's actually funny little anecdote now. This was supposed to be the 3DO's launch title. How would you compare this next to Crash and Burn, the 3DO's actual launch title?
Oh
Isn't that a tough one?
God, they're both not good, but for completely different reasons.
Like Crash and Burn is a game, like a
But it's not a
legit like
good. But it's not a good one.
no.
I may regret this because I think in the future we might do like a tier list or a ranking of all the games we've played. But I think for at this point in time, I would be willing to say Jurassic Park Interactive is the better game.
Yeah,
It's not by much, but I think it's the closest just because I think it's more competent.
it's
And,
funny.
and we
Look,
know that Crystal Dynamics is capable of better.
I know. It's funny though when we end up looking back at the games and we kind of rank them like that. It's going to be funny to look at our uh, must play, okay, stay aways to see how much we agree with them like later.
Yeah, that will be interesting with the passage of time. How will it feel?
Yeah,
So I imagine there's
especially
going to be at least one game that we bring up, and I'm going to be like, "Oh, we played that. I completely forget."
yeah.
It's going to be at least one. I can guarantee it.
And I think like too, like we were harsher on some of the games earlier on, and we've played so much worse like since that I
Yeah,
feel like we might
I
have,
think our brains have become like 3DO pilled.
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, we've we've been tripped.
Yes, we've been tripped by the Hawkins. But yeah, so next week, guys, like we promised, we're gonna be finally covering Gex, like the
It's a
big one.
speaking of lizards, we're finally like I've been wanting to play this game since we started the show. Like this is the one I've wanted to play.
It was
And
like that and plumbers, and we've got plumbers out of the way, so we might as well cover Gex now.
this is me. This is for me. I want to do this, man. I really want to do this one.
Especially because there's like 4 platformers on the 3DO, and even then, that's probably generous.
Yeah,
And
and I want to beat this. I want to see this to the end. I'm gonna beat this game. I'm saying it now. I promise I will beat this game.
yeah, honestly, I want to replay it too because Gex is it's such an interesting platformer that I feel like gets kind of forgotten because its later entries are more well known, but not as interesting in a sense.
He looks like a mascot for like a soft drink.
He kind of does.
Just
Uh,
looking at him. He's gonna be staring at me now while I'm trying to finish Battle for Bikini Bottom again. He's gonna be looking at me like, "You should play me. You should play me." And I'm like, "Dude, this. I'm trying to feel comfort."
he's he's gonna talk about his jazzercise class. Oh no, not jazzercise. His nude funker size. That's what it was.
That's not. Oh God, like, like I'm gonna be trying to sleep at night. I'm just gonna hear that fucking voice, and it's like, dude, please just let me sleep. Let me sleep.
Good old Dana Gold.
What is Gex short for? Gexington?
Who knows?
It could be Gexington or Gextifer or Gexig. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Let us know, everybody. What is Gex short for? So I feel like that's a shorthand name.
But yeah, so next week we're going to be covering Gex. And in the meantime, guys, once again, thanks for joining us on the 3DO Experience. You can find 3DO Experience on all the major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can also find the episodes fully on YouTube now with with video versions for every podcast. This is the one show we do that has video versions for every podcast. Hi, guys.
Because I'm not a coward.
Well, actually, no, Geek Addicts, we've been doing videos for everyone too recently.
Well, you know who I'm talking about.
And she's not going to listen to this, so she'll never know.
Nope. We don't interact at all. So I can talk all the shit I want because I will never hear anything about it.
Yep. But hi, Alex. But anyways, so,
and speaking of, reminder, tune into my streams. The day this comes up, which I believe is on Wednesday, that evening around 7 p.m., I will be on Twitch streaming Sega Genesis games. So if y'all want to hop in and say hi and reference the 3DO or whatever, go for it. Go for it. It'll be a good time. I'll stream for about 2.5 hours. I think last time I went over 3, and I'm like, that was probably a little too much. So I think I'll trim it down, go to like 2.5. So.
And yeah, you can find all of the links at linktree/thebarbecue And if you'd like, you can join the GNC Podcast Network Discord server to find all things GNC, 3DO Experience, Geek Addicts, Talk Gaming, Anime, just general nonsense over there.
Hi, Schnicker Man.
What's up, Kevin? And with that, we will see you all later.
Bye-bye.
If you're not playing on a 3DO system, what are you playing with?